Hello, everybody. I'd like to introduce you to Karin Levy from Zimark. Thank you very much for joining us today, Karin.
Thank you very much for having me, David.
No, it's really nice to meet you. Please give us an overview of your business and what it does, please.
Okay, so first I'll start by introducing myself. So I'm Karin Levy, I'm the CEO of Zimark. I've been in this industry, the logistics industry, for over 20 years. I've worked in the shipping industry, working for one of the biggest shipping lines, Zim Integrated Shipping, doing various positions in the sector. And my last position was actually running the Caribbean and Central America operation for Zim in Miami. And after I came back from finishing that position, this opportunity came into play and I started Zimark, which is a startup. And we have this unique, innovative technology that allows us to offer warehouses and 3PLs real-time tracking technology. So we are focused on full pallets and we're able to provide smart tracking for full pallets, and every move of a pallet within a warehouse, we know to tell the warehouse operator and managers where the pallet is, provide accurate inventory accuracy 24/7, and also ensure that everything that is shipped out of the warehouse is sent to the right location and provide a proof of load for the customers of the warehouse and the warehouse itself. So we provide a range of solutions, and that's only the first steps of our roadmap. So we're very excited.
No, thank you for going over that. I always ask everyone the same question. What brought you originally into the logistics sector?
So I did various positions. You mean in the startup or in previously at Zim?
No, just what brought you into the previous position, really? What brought you into the logistics sector at the beginning?
What brought me in? So I finished, I finished college, and I had three opportunities. I always tell the story about that I had three job opportunities coming up. One of them was going into the logistics sector. And I actually consulted with my big brother, which I love and adore. And I asked him, what do you think I should do? And he said, look, there is an option on the table for a global company. Logistics is super interesting. You'll have an opportunity to work not just, locally, but also look at, the global trade and economics, and it's connecting everyone in the world. So it makes the world, look like a small village eventually. So, I like that. And I thought that would be really interesting to get into. And it was super correct because, that's where I am. And the first boss that interviewed me for my first position at Zim, he said, once you get into this industry, you never leave. It's addictive. And I said, okay, fine. That's fine. Okay. We'll see about that. And he was right. It's like, it's addictive. It's interesting. It's 24/7, around the clock, can get you insanely mad sometimes, and, spend all your time about fixing problems and, running around the clock. But still, it's interesting, a lot of adrenaline, and who can, say no to that?
You've summarised it very well, and the reason we asked that question, and pretty much everyone has almost fallen into it rather than planned to get into it. But it's a great career. It's not for everyone, but it's very dynamic, changeable. No 2 days are the same. And if you enjoy it, you'll love it. You'll love it.
Every day you learn something new. Every day you need to face a new challenge.
You certainly do. Yeah. So tell us about, the business sector you're working in, because obviously you're a startup, and how you see that developing and the technology developing for that over the next few years.
So I'll combine a little bit the tech startups for logistics, because that's mainly what we are working on right now. So I think that this sector is in a very interesting position right now. It's a very interesting crossroad, because the logistic industry is a little bit behind on adopting new technologies. There is a lot of fear around adopting new technologies, and there's not a lot of automation going on still. So when we come to a new warehouse, normally we're not talking about How do we deal with another competitor that has offered something there or is already there? We are mainly dealing with market education, I would say, or the openness to adopt new technology. But I see more and more competition coming into the market. And I think of it as an opportunity, because I think that the more competition will come in the sense of startups and technologies that are coming in, it will open up the mind of the potential customers, warehouses, to understand that this is what you have to do. It's inevitable. You need to adopt, you need to be dynamic, you need to adjust to a new reality in order to stay ahead of their competitors. They can't continue just working with pen and paper. And we see a lot of customers, warehousing customers, that are still working with older tools. So I think the industry is in a very interesting crossroad right now. And we're going to see much more automation coming in the coming years.
No, I think that's very good. And also, the way you describe your business, that will give visibility to your customer's customer, really. So if I was the ultimate shipper of those, I would almost be able to track my goods to make sure they're going around in the right part of the world, which makes me happier, but also probably makes it easier for the 3PL company to have less queries. It's vision, gives clear vision to everyone. I can see the opportunity of it.
Definitely.
Good. And if you're describing the current challenges in the marketplace, and also potentially the biggest opportunities and threats for the sector over the next few years, how would you sort of summarize that?
So if I'm looking at the warehousing side of it, so the biggest threats are around labor. Still, we are seeing a lot of issues around being able to recruit and retain qualified labor. There is a lot of issues around operational costs. How do you maintain a business that all the time gets more and more efficient and reduces its operational cost in order to be able to continue competing? So operational cost, real estate is a very big challenge because there's less and less real estate. And you see, I visited the UK, and you see it every location. You see so many warehouses that are being built right now. So square footage is an issue. Of course, geopolitics, I don't have to mention that probably, right? Because there's so many changes, geopolitical changes that are happening that are affecting global changes. And that was always relevant, but I think that they're becoming much more frequent, and the waves, the cyclical changes are becoming more tight. So customer, and I would say one of the additional thing, and that's relevant for our customers, but also for us as a provider, is that customer expectations are on the rise all the time. I think, COVID demonstrated that very clearly, but it's still continuing. Customers want everything faster, simple, and right now. I want everything right now. Everything needs to be accurate. Everything needs to be super high quality service. There is very little room for mistakes and delays. And with an industry that focuses on supply chain and being able to deliver everything on time and to the right location, that becomes much more challenging. So what our threats as a startup right now, or in the sector of providing solutions for that sector, I think again it goes back to the speed of adoption of technology, the openness to adopt technology. There is a lot of hesitation, a lot of thinking about, should I do it or not? I was burnt already by adopting a technology. I don't want to go into it again. Do I have the necessary skill set within my team to be able to implement that technology? So these are the types of things that we see. As for opportunities, we see a lot of opportunities around all of these threats by adopting new technology. So our solution, for example, providing real-time tracking is supposed to, of pallets, is supposed to reduce the dependency on labor, which is, again, a threat and a challenge. By adopting automation, you can reduce your operational costs and become much more efficient. You spoke about customers wanting to have visibility and real-time visibility into their warehouse providers. So, for example, we are providing a customer portal where they can go in, key in their pallet number, and be able to get a picture of where it's stored within the warehouse. So much more traceability and better customer service. And by implementing technology and not depending so much on the manual factor of scanning, which can result in errors, we're only humans, then you are able to provide a much more accurate solution, much more accurate inventory, much more accurate shipments to customers. So all of those are opportunities. And I think that for the warehouse customers that are out there, I think the opportunities are in the fact that there's so many solutions out there today that are coming into the market, that the opportunity is there. They have a lot to choose from. So go out there and, explore what's out there. You can automate your warehouse, reasonable costs, doesn't have to go to full automation and robotics. There are reasonable cost-wise solutions out there to look into that can upgrade your business significantly.
No, that's great. And obviously, I could share with perhaps you can't, and some of my, contacts can't stay on these things. But you're absolutely right. Everyone wants more and more, technology, visibility, service. But the challenge is because of the economic climate we're in, they want more and more for less and less, which makes it a challenge for all those, the 3PLs and parcel carriers and downstream access people. Yeah, very interesting. It's a very interesting world.
The ROI needs to be there for sure. They need to be able to calculate their ROI. And that's another challenge that we can talk about. But being able to calculate your ROI, having the numbers to know what it's worth for you. And that's, I think, one of the first steps that they need to go. But, somebody told me that in the past that I have a taste for champagne, but a budget for beer, a beer budget, So how does that sentence go? So you're right. It's like that. So everybody wants automation, a lot of buzzwords around AI and computer vision and technology. But when it gets to the ROI calculation, it's very hard to make the calculation if it's worth your while or not.
Yeah, you're absolutely correct. And what are people in the sector not talking about that perhaps they should be?
So I would say the two things that are not discussed enough, and I would say that people need to be more ready for it, are two key things, especially when it comes to what we're working on. So I would say that there is an entire section around data readiness. So when we come to a warehouse and we want to be able to talk about the possibility to implement our solution, so not necessarily they have the data to support the understanding if it's worthwhile to implement or not. Now, the last thing I want to do is to implement a solution where somebody doesn't understand for sure the numbers if it makes sense for him or not. I'm not into providing something that doesn't provide value. For anyone to be able to know if something provides value or not, they need to understand their numbers. Right now, there is a lot of issues around data accuracy. So they implement, for example, warehouse management systems, state of the art. It's amazing. It gives a lot of value potentially, but garbage in, garbage out. So because it's based on manual scanning, for example. So there are human errors, not 100% discipline around keying the information in. So there is an issue around, even if you implement technology, making 100% usage of it or maximizing its potential, then there is an issue around understanding your numbers, understanding the information, because information is information. Data is data, but making knowledge out of that data to understand your needs, to be able to support managerial decisions, the industry is not there yet. And I would say that shifts me to the second thing, is that how do you prepare to the next generation of warehouse labor or talent that you have? Because it's not just about getting and retaining employees and warehouse labor that is around the day-to-day work, but it's also about having qualified employees that would know how to work alongside automated solutions. So our solution, for example, is not fully automation for warehouses. It's automating the tracking in a warehouse. It means that we want to empower the teams to be able to work with that, our solutions, and make their days easier, more productive, more efficient. So people need to have a change of skills of being able to work with some of this automation. How do you maximize that automation? So it's a little bit of a change of skill sets, and the expectations from the labor needs to shift as well, and to start preparing for that. We see a lot of warehouses that don't have IT support. So they don't have people that can run a project of automation. You need to have the skill set for that. And then that's part of why they delay all the time in adopting new technology. So it's like a cycle that goes on. I don't have the right manpower. Let me get it first, and then I do this project. But then you don't do that, and it continues like a vicious cycle.
Okay, no, I really appreciate that. And one thing that's becoming more and more relevant for everyone, and we all want to be greener, but human nature is we probably don't want to pay too much for it. How do you see the green transition impacting your business and the sector that you're working with?
So I think that power, everything that has to do with power supply is becoming a new challenge. And warehouses will have to be power ready, and have the energy supply that is needed in order to implement new automation. Some of this automation requires, take the basics. We have a solution that we call gate control. So we implement our solution at the dock door, everything that is being loaded onto the truck. We put cameras there. You need power supply and power readiness at the dock doors. Not everybody has that. So there's cost around being power ready, energy ready for some of this new technology that comes in. Some of it requires more power, some of it less. And then the cost rise as well. So again, this is going to be a challenge that is going to be at the same level probably as a real estate challenge. And I think that there's also part of, a lot of the e-commerce that is growing, a lot of returns that we see in the industry that become a challenge, a lot of more work around that, a lot of more transits around that, and being able to provide solutions for that. So there's going to be much more need around everything that has to do with power supply. I don't know, in the UK, probably warehouses are starting to look at green energy as well. I know that you have more regulation around that as well, right? That warehouses
Yes.
and businesses are being measured around being how green they are. So that affects also eventually our business as well as startups.
Good. No, I appreciate that. And during your career, what development in the sector has surprised you most?
Wow. So I would say that the COVID was a big surprise. Everything about it, the impact of it, how fast it impacted everything globally, how it transitioned very quickly, at least in the industry, logistics industry, transitioned from a huge impact and a huge risk, because everything came to a halt, but eventually became, especially in shipping, it became, I don't want it to sound bad, but it became an opportunity in the sense that there was a major growth. For years, there has been an attempt to grow e-commerce usage. All of a sudden, it grew tenths of percentages over a year, and it never got, back. So that was a big surprise, and also how eventually it bounced back, and everything went back to, I can't say normal, but everything bounced back. So that was a big shift, I think, in the mindset. And I would say that also looking at the reactions of people outside our industry. So I think it's the first time that people really understood the impact of logistics. People that are not in logistics do not see the impact. I don't know, they think that magically things appear at their doorsteps. And it sometimes looks like that. And I think it's a miracle. every time that my daughter orders something online on Amazon or whatever from AliExpress, whatever it is, and she's sure that she's going to get it like that, I think that it's a miracle that it arrives. When you see what it goes through, all the chain of supply, going through warehouses and trucks and ships and planes, I think it's miraculous. And I think people don't appreciate it enough. And I think that was the first time that people outside our industry really appreciated logistics for the first time and started realizing that there is something going on behind the scenes, that it's not just, a mere, magic that it arrives. So I like that.
No, I'd agree totally. And part of the reason Logistics Explained was created to bring awareness to all that goes on in the supply chain, because it's amazing what everyone does. And when we order something, whether it be pharmaceutical or a parcel, it just turns up magically. And when you know the supply chain, there's so many potential choke points that could stop it happening, and efficiency is very effective. And if you look at the profit and loss of companies, it's a high volume, low margin sector as well. No one's making loads of money. It's a very interesting one. So no, it's lovely to hear that, Karin. Thank you. The final question I ask everyone is, if you could speak to, the Prime Minister, whether it be in the UK or Israel, or anywhere in the world really, what would you ask them to do to help your business and businesses like yours grow and flourish?
That's a great question. I wish I could have that opportunity. So I would say that I would love it if they could help with two key hurdles, if I can. There are a lot of hurdles, but two key hurdles that I would pinpoint specifically. So one of them is what I mentioned around power readiness and network readiness. One of the key challenges that we see is that when we come to a warehouse, there are issues around the power and the connectivity. So fiber optics, making warehouses sector that is so important and so vital for any industry and any economy. It's a crucial part of the economy in every country. So to make connectivity and power much more available, much more efficient, and in lower prices, so warehouses can have that ready for the next stage of implementation of technology to become more efficient and to become more competitive. That's critical, because we come now and some of our projects are completely prolonging because there's no connectivity and we have to find alternative solutions, and it doesn't make sense. And I would say the second thing is that since this industry is still, I would say, a little bit lagging behind, because it's very natural in adopting new technologies, to see how to reduce some of the barriers around the fear or reluctantness around adopting new technology by making it easier. So for example, I'm thinking about, I don't know which sector in the UK handles that, but, being able to be part of an innovation hub, providing a sort of a testing bed for new startups and new technologies. So by doing that, a warehouse can come to like an incubator that shows tested technologies and reduce the amount of time that it takes to take decisions, because it was already tested out in a very controlled environment that knows their needs and knows the startup needs, and make that connection. So like a pilot hub, for example. And I think that shows a lot of innovation and can also grow the potential of technology in the UK, for example, for outside companies that are interested to see and come and see that in the UK, as an example, or where I live. So these are two examples of where I can see, governments can really help our sector grow.
No, I think you're absolutely correct there, Karin, and it'd save a lot of learning and investment, and actually poorly wasted investment. If you could have a centre of excellence where you could go and watch and learn, and then utilise those parts that fit your business model. That's very interesting, Karin. Really appreciate that. So just want to say thank you so much for your time. It's lovely to meet you and hear your views.
Too.
and I'm sure our viewers and listeners will love it. Thank you very much again, Karin.
Thank you very much for having me.